guys, welcome to Red 50. Thank you for tuning into another video. If you're new to the channel, thank you for stopping by. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. So in today's video, we're going to be learning how to use the paddle shifters on your Infiniti G37. If you've got an Infiniti G37 Sport model or the all-wheel drive Sport model, you have these paddle shifters that you can use to make a very fun drive on your Infiniti G37. This tutorial is going to work for G37s that are from 2009 and onwards on a sedan or even the coupe. But if you have a G35 that's from 2007 and 8, so it has the same body as this G37, it's still going to be applicable. In this video, I'm going to be covering the basics of the paddle shifters, how to upshift the Infiniti G37 using the paddle shifters, how to downshift using the paddle shifters, and also some precautions that you should take while you're using paddle shifters on your Infiniti G37, just to make sure you don't mess up anything with the engine. Okay, let's talk about some of the basics right here. So this is the steering wheel on my Infiniti G37 XS, which is the Sport model. And here you can see the plus paddle shifter, which is for upshifting. And here you have the minus paddle shifter, which is used for downshifting to go down a gear. I do want to highlight that this does come with the drive sport or dynamic sport mode. So you have it in drive right now, but you can kind of go in sport mode. And you can see it changes to DS. Here we're into D, back to DS. So what DS does is it pretty much gives you complete manual control with the paddle shifter. So if you're in DS, we're not gonna have the G37 shift out of it. So once you go into DS mode, which is like a sport mode, but once you tap onto paddle shifter once, you activate the paddle shifters. And once you're in that mode, you're pretty much gonna have the paddle shifters for the remainder until you go back to the drive mode. With the drive mode, what it does basically is if you use your paddle shifters, maybe you accidentally hit them, which is a very good safety feature, I guess, it will revert back to normal shifting in about 2 to 3 seconds if it detects you're not actively using the paddle shifter. So if you accidentally hit it or you have no intention to use it, it's going to revert back. So if you want full manual control, you need to be in DS mode. For purpose of this video, since they both operate similarly in terms of how to use the paddle shifters, I'm going to put it in drive sport mode. That way you guys have a clarity on how to use the paddle shifter, because I don't want to put it in drive mode and have it constantly pop out of the paddle shifter mode. So with that being said, let's dive into the video. Now I do want to highlight that the red line on the G37 3.7 liter V6 engine is actually around 7,400, as you can see from there, which means when you're upshifting, you want to make sure you upshift before you hit the red line. So this way you're not hitting the rev limiter constantly, which is not good for your engine. Same goes for downshifting. Downshift is a little bit tricky because you don't know where the RPMs are going to jump to when you downshift. So you just want to make sure if you're at like 3,000-4,000 RPM and you're downshifting, you're not exceeding the 7,400 RPM. All right, so we're in drive sport mode. I'm gonna go ahead and tap the pedal once just to kind of activate the paddle shifter. So you can see I'm in third gear now. And let's go ahead and stay in third gear. We're gonna attempt to paddle shift around 4,000-5,000 RPM just to be on the safer side. So I'm gonna tap it once. And now I'm in fourth gear. And as you're coming to a stop, it's automatically gonna bring down the gears, which is good, so you don't have to worry about it in terms of downshifting. You can if you wanted to, but you don't have to. So now that we're in first gear, I'm gonna go ahead with this road and kind of upshift around 3,000-4,000 RPM up to 4th, 5th gear, so you can kind of see how it operates. We're gonna tap it here. As you can see, it's very easy to use the paddle shifters to upshift. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and show an example with downshifting. So we're in 5th gear right now, and my RPMs are currently around 3,000 RPM or 25. So I'm gonna tap it once, drop it to 4th gear. So let's see. You see it jumped up a little bit. So when you downshift, it's gonna give you a little bit more power to have fun with your G37. Now I'm like around. And as you can see, since I'm in drive sport mode, it's not gonna shift it back to automatic shifting, which is why I love the DS mode as opposed to D mode for the paddle shifting. So now that we're dropping to 3,000, I'm gonna do the same thing. And as you can see, that was very fun to just rev out the engine. This engine is actually very rev happy. I absolutely love this engine. It's got tons of mid-range power, and it loves to rev all the way to a red line. So I'm gonna drop it to third gear now, which you can see is gonna be more of a drastic RPM increase. So let's drop it to, so it's from fourth gear. There we go, third gear. Very fun to drive with the paddle shifters. It's absolutely amazing. Now in this segment, I'm just gonna go ahead and upshift with the paddle shifters and also downshift, so you can kind of get an idea real time. I'm not gonna be talking, I just want you to observe the paddle shifter movement. And seventh gear is basically the highest gear you can go in the 7-speed transmission, obviously, so that's where it will cap out. Now I do want to show you an example of what happens if you are in drive mode and you accidentally hit the paddle shifter. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it back to drive mode. So as you can see, it's drive mode now, and I'm going to hit the paddle shifters maybe here. So it does switch to the gear to 7th now. I'm not going to do anything with the paddle shifter, and should revert back to the normal shifting. And there you go. You saw that it went back to D now, and the computer's going to shift automatically now, and you don't have to worry about the paddle shifter. So this is a very good feature that Infiniti has implemented. So if you're not used to paddle shifters, or maybe you don't want to use them and you accidentally hit the paddle shifter, you don't have to freak out. Just, you know, drive as you would normally drive, and eventually it's going to revert back to automatic shifting. Well guys, as you saw from those clips, it's very easy to use the paddle shifters on your G37 and makes it for a very interesting and fun drive. Of course, as you're getting more and more used to it, you're going to get better at it. You're going to hear what the engine is doing and when you need to shift. But for starting off, I recommend shifting around 4,000 or 5,000 RPM. So that still gives you 2,000 RPM buffer in case you forget to upshift, just to kind of save some engine trouble, because if you do hit the rev limiter every now and then, that's never pretty. I'm actually pretty impressed by the paddle shifter response on the G37s. They came out like almost 12 years ago, so you would kind of expect them to be very laggy. Of course, it's not going to be as fast as like an automatic shifting or even manual shifter, but if you're on the back roads, you're going through the gears, it's actually pretty responsive than what you would come to expect. So I really like how Infiniti implemented the sportiness into their G37, which if you have your auto, you can still have some fun with the paddle shifters. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you smash that like button and comment below what do you think of the paddle shifter in the Infiniti G37. And as always, subscribe to Red 50 for more content.